You worked for months and finally managed to save some money. Then you watched that money disappear fast. Why? Because you don't know how to protect your money. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Maybe right now you have $10,000 sitting in your bank account, but you have no idea what to do with it. So while you're thinking about your next move, your money just sits there. Now let me tell you something that might surprise you. What you do when you reach $10,000 in savings can determine whether you build real wealth or stay broke for life. Most people make the wrong move right here. So the question is, what's the biggest mistake people make when they hit $10,000? Most people treat it like they just won the lottery. They worked for months. They sacrificed spending. Maybe they even isolated themselves socially just to save that money. And when they finally hit the goal, they tell themselves, I made it. I deserve to reward myself. And then this happens. They buy a better car. They take the vacation they think they earned. Or they buy new stuff. A few months later, they're right back where they started. $10,000 is both a lot of money and not a lot of money. It's a lot because most people don't have that kind of savings. According to many studies, around 45% of people couldn't cover even a $1,000 emergency expense with cash. So if you have $10,000, you're already ahead of a large portion of society. But at the same time, it's not that much money. It's not enough for retirement. It won't buy you a house. And if you lose your job, it may only support you for a few months. Remember this, $10,000 is not wealth, but it is the foundation of wealth. Why do people end up broke again? Because they keep their money in a checking account. They don't open a separate account for savings. If you keep your savings in the same account as your everyday spending money, the balance will look bigger than it really is, and you'll want to spend it. It starts with small purchases. New clothes, gadgets, a new phone, and you'll find a logical excuse for every purchase. Because you want to treat yourself and the money is sitting right there in front of you. But then a real emergency shows up. Your house needs repairs, your car breaks down, or you're forced to deal with medical expenses. And in the end, there's nothing left of your savings. What you need to do to grow your savings is very simple. Split the money. The moment you reach $10,000, divide it and move it into different places for different purposes. Not next week, not after you think about it, immediately. Because as long as that $10,000 sits in one easy-to-access account, you'll slowly spend it. That's human nature. Your brain sees money as available and starts finding reasons to spend it. But when you divide that money and give every dollar a specific purpose, random spending becomes much harder. So here's exactly what you should do the day you hit $10,000 in savings. First, move $3,000 to $5,000 into a completely separate high-yield savings account that you only touch for real emergencies. And by emergencies, I don't mean wanting to go on vacation when you can't afford it. I mean real emergencies. Your car breaks down, you lose your job, you're dealing with a medical crisis. That is your emergency fund, and it needs to stay physically separate from your everyday spending money. Most people keep their emergency fund in the same account as their regular cash. Then they wonder why they keep dipping into it for non-emergencies. Put it somewhere separate, somewhere that takes a day or two to transfer back into your bank account. That way, there's real friction between you and your money. The psychological impact of this separation is huge. When you see $10,000 in your checking account, your brain thinks $10,000 is available to spend. But when you see $2,000 in checking and $3,000 in a separate emergency fund you promised not to touch, your brain adapts to living on the $2,000. You make different decisions. You become more careful. You think twice before spending because you know your savings aren't instantly available. This is where most people make another mistake. Even when they create a separate emergency fund, they put the full $10,000 into it and feel financially responsible. And that's not a terrible move. Keeping $10,000 in an emergency fund is definitely better than wasting it on random purchases. But it's still not ideal. Because money sitting in a savings account earning 1% or 2% interest is barely keeping up with inflation. You're protecting your money, but you're not building wealth. You're preserving what you have, not growing it. That's why only $3,000 to $5,000 should go into your emergency fund when you hit $10,000. That's enough to cover most emergencies without wiping you out. But the goal is not to keep all your money in a low-growth account. The rest of that $10,000 needs to start working for you and compounding over time. That's where the second critical step comes in. After securing your emergency fund, whatever is left, probably $5,000 to $7,000, should go into a taxable brokerage account invested in index funds. Not individual stocks you picked because you read something online. Not cryptocurrency because your friend told you it would skyrocket. You invest in boring, simple, broad market index funds that track the entire market. Then you leave it alone. Let it grow for years, ideally decades. Here's what most people don't understand about investing until they actually do it. Investing is not about getting rich fast or picking the next big winner. Investing is about putting money somewhere it can grow faster than inflation while you live your life. If you invest $5,000 into index funds averaging 7% to 8% annually, you're not waking up next month with $10,000. That's not how it works. But in 5 years, that $5,000 could become $7,000. In 10 years, it could become $10,000. In 20 years, it could become $20,000 or more, and all you have to do is leave it alone and let compound growth do the work. But here's what really separates wealth builders from people who stay broke. What happens after the first $10,000? Because saving $10,000 once and then stopping is basically meaningless when it comes to long-term wealth. People who become financially secure use that $10,000 milestone as the starting point of a system that keeps building wealth automatically. After building your $3,000 to $5,000 emergency fund and investing the rest, you need to set up automatic transfers that continue growing both accounts. Maybe that means automatically sending $150 from every paycheck into your emergency fund until it covers 6 months of expenses, and $200 from every paycheck into your investment account. Of course, those numbers depend on your income and expenses, but the principle stays the same. You don't just save $10,000 and call it done. You use that $10,000 as the base of a wealth building system that runs automatically whether you feel motivated or not. And that automatic system matters because motivation doesn't last. Motivation gets you to your first $10,000. Motivation gets you excited about investing and building wealth. But when life gets hard, when you see something you really want to buy, or when your friends are taking expensive vacations and you feel left out, motivation disappears. Motivation gets you started. Systems keep you going when motivation fails. And the system is simple. Money hits your bank account. Some automatically goes to your emergency fund. Some automatically goes to your investment account. And you live on the rest. Now let's talk about something almost everyone struggles with when they first hit $10,000, the temptation to use it as a down payment on something big. Maybe you want to buy a house and think $10,000 could be your down payment. Or maybe you want a nicer car and think putting $10,000 down would get you a great deal. Or maybe you want to start a business and $10,000 feels like enough to begin. And here's the truth. None of those ideas are automatically bad. But when this is the first $10,000 you've ever saved, it's probably the wrong move. Why? Because using all $10,000 as a down payment on a house or car sends your savings back to zero. You're committing yourself to monthly payments that may last for years, and now you have no safety net. If something goes wrong and you lose your job, you can't make the mortgage payment. If your car breaks down, you can't afford repairs on top of the car payment. Basically, you're putting yourself under financial stress right after finally saving $10,000 by rushing to spend it all as a down payment. Real wealth builders do something different. They keep growing their savings after $10,000. They reach $20,000, then $30,000, then $50,000, and when they make a major purchase like a home, they put 20% down. They still have a healthy emergency fund. They're not stretched thin by the monthly payment. Instead of barely scraping by to qualify for credit, they buy from a position of strength. I know that sounds slow and boring, and you probably want your house, your car, or whatever dream purchase you have right now, not years from now. But understand this, the difference between people who build wealth and people who stay broke is almost entirely patience and delayed gratification. Broke people see $10,000 and think about what they can buy with it right now. Wealthy people see $10,000 and think about what it can become if they stay patient. That shift in perspective changes everything. You start to understand the difference between saving and investing, and why both matter for different reasons. The emergency fund in your high-yield savings account is savings. It's safe, it's accessible, but it doesn't grow much. Your money in index funds is investing. It will fluctuate, sometimes it may drop, but over time it generally rises. In the long run, it should grow significantly faster than inflation. Most people think these are the same thing, or they only do one or the other. Wealthy people understand you need both. You need savings for short-term security and emergencies. You need investments for long-term wealth and retirement. When you hit $10,000 and split it between an emergency fund and investments, you're building both systems at the same time. You're protecting yourself from immediate threats while moving toward future financial freedom. Once you understand that balance, you'll never go back to keeping all your money in checking or in a savings account that barely grows. Now let's talk about the biggest psychological barrier stopping people from doing any of this. The fear of locking money away somewhere they can't instantly access. They worked hard to save $10,000, and the idea of putting $5,000 of it into an investment account feels scary. What if they need it? What if an emergency happens? What if they regret it? That fear keeps people broke because they never move beyond holding cash and start actually investing to build wealth. But the truth is, if you properly built a $3,000 to $5,000 emergency fund, you can handle most emergencies without touching your investments. And if a real disaster happens that costs more than your emergency fund can cover, yes, you can withdraw money from investments. Depending on the account type, you may pay taxes or penalties. But if you truly need it, you can access it. Thus, the goal is not to lock money away forever so you can never touch it. The goal is to place it somewhere that takes a few extra steps to access, protecting you from impulse purchases and lifestyle inflation. The people who build serious wealth when they hit $10,000 are the ones who make random spending difficult. They organize their accounts, they automate transfers, then they forget about it and focus on earning more money and living life while the system works quietly in the background. The people who stay broke are the ones who keep all their money easily accessible, then wonder why it keeps disappearing. And now I need to be completely honest with you. Most people hearing this won't do any of it. They'll listen. They'll think it makes sense. They might even feel motivated for a day or two. Then they'll go back to doing what they've always done. They'll reach $10,000, leave it sitting in their bank account, slowly spend it on lifestyle costs and emergencies, and end up right back where they started. Then they'll wonder why they work hard and earn decent money but never move forward financially. But if you're one of the rare people who actually takes action, who immediately splits that $10,000 between emergency savings and investments, sets up automatic transfers to grow both, and resists the temptation to blow it on something big before you're ready, your entire financial future changes. You didn't just become $10,000 richer, you laid the foundation for a system that can keep building wealth for the rest of your life. $10,000 is both your biggest achievement so far and almost meaningless compared to where it can lead. What you do with it determines which reality becomes yours. Handle it the right way. Divide it, invest it, protect it, build on top of it. And 10 years from now, you'll look back at this moment as the turning point where you escaped being broke and started building real wealth. Handle it the wrong way. Spend it. Leave it all in checking. Use it as a down payment before you're ready. And 10 years from now, you'll still be trying to save your first $10,000, wondering why it feels so hard. The choice is completely yours. And whether you realize it or not, you're making that choice right now.